Do 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 do. This box is very big, so big that I can't see the chat. Let me see if I can alter the sizes over here. That's going to change a few things later on, but never mind. Okay, rock and roll. Are we in? We are, except this box is locked. Got to move things around a bit on my desktop so that I can see what's going on during our discussion. Got to move this down a little bit. Okay, super sweet. 1 minute of technical stuff, and it's now time for 1 hour of power. Welcome to wherever you are. Welcome to the Academy of Language Therapy and Life Coaching, where we always we trip over our words and start with a little bit of rock and roll. The Jimmy Hoffa Band, run with the devil. Just to get us in the mood before we go through the information. Okay. This morning session will be all coaching. All coaching. So, get ready. Okay, Jimmy Hoffa Band brings us in. Super sweet. Austrian rock and roll music. Now, where do we go from here? I would like to thank the 1,000 people, plus minus, who have viewed the sessions that were posted online this week. We are well over 1,000 views for our first week of testing the language coaching online, and that's pretty cool. I was counting up the views this morning, and it's nice to have so much contact with so many people. Remember, if you find this information and you find it useful and you find it on Facebook, right click, there we go, right click, copy the URL and paste it somewhere where people can find it. The aim is to share, because we care. The aim is to share information. So what have I got for you this morning? Drink healthy. That's what I got for you this morning. Drink healthy. I picked up my healthy drink here. Little advertisement. Picked up my healthy drink. It's orange, carrot, apple, and ginger. And it's cool, right? You know, I saw some kids this morning walking around with bottles of Coca-Cola and Coca-Cola and other kind of fizzy soda drinks. And I was thinking, what is that doing to your body in the morning? Maybe for some of them it's getting them back on track, but not for me. So, yeah, drink healthy and share if you care. How's it going out there? Weather outside the window here, it's pretty nice. It's a little bit overcast, but it's a spring day, so that's kind of cool. A little bit of snow on the distant hills still. You might get a couple of weeks more skiing in if you fancy doing something like that. Now, I said this morning's session is going to be almost all about coaching. So I did some news articles and some videos in the previous sessions this week. In fact, what was most interesting for people was the information about parenting because we don't really get much help with that. We have our experience of being parented, and then we inflict that upon our kids. Um, that's the way that it goes. Mental note to self: must tidy up emails and pay my telephone bill. Right. Uh, can you pay my bills? So, moving on, I wanted to give you something visual and an idea of the kind of work that we are involved in. And this is sharing understanding, picking up learning in one place and putting it out into the world in another place. And through our language coaching, remember the language of academy, the Academy of Language Therapy and Life Coaching is a small, private, online academy. We are physically based in Banska Bystrica, beautiful Banska in central Slovakia. We run two kinds of online courses. We do English language courses and we do personal development courses. And they kind of click together because English language is an internal skill where we're building up the knowledge inside, and we then need to learn how to communicate, and personal development is the communication skill. A lot of people who want better communication skills don't realize that language is not the problem. It's how do you communicate that is the problem. It's having a strategy for communication. A lot of people have a fear to speak in their first language, So it's understandable that there's a fear to speak also in a second language if there's a fear in the first language as well. Also, if you want, you can join our Facebook group, the Academy of Language Therapy and Life Coaching. The first 100 spaces or places in the private coaching group are free. So there's about 20 places left there. If you'd like to join in the conversation there, that would be super cool. First come, first served. First come, first served. You know how it works. If you have any questions, you can write them in the chat. If there's anything you want me to cover, discover, uncover, then write your questions in the chat on Facebook and we'll get around to them. If you have any grammar questions that you would like me to tackle, then I will do my best to answer those grammar questions for you. And if you've got two big hairy hanging things, you can contact me through Skype. You can call in and we can have a real-time live discussion. Lot of people very nervous about that one. Right. I want to give you some real coaching. So what I'm going to do is play for you a special little video clip. Where are we today? This is Friday the 17th of March. And this is a session that I had on Wednesday. Now I record all my work. I record all the audio and a lot of video work. And I have a big archive of information, which is what I'd like to share with you. And I want to share with you a video from the archive. I want to share with you a video from a real coaching session. And in this extract of the video, I will discuss with the client science and genetics and the logic and illogic in the processes of it. And we will also discuss flow, how things naturally progress and how not to get in the way of natural progression. I think these are very useful personal skills to have, and I'm interested in your opinion. I'm interested in sharing this with you, and we'll see how it goes. So if the audio is okay out there, let me know. Give me a thumbs up, give me a smiley face. If you're too lazy to do that, then you're not going to progress very far in life. Blah, blah, blah. Moving on. The video. So I think I can make my media player disappear? Ah, look, it's me. He's got an ego problem because he's got too many pictures of himself on the screen. And he hasn't changed his t-shirt either. Rather embarrassing, but never mind. So this is going to be, how long is this going to take? This is going to take about 10 minutes. And in this 10 minutes, I might stop and make a comment. I will try to write down the important principles in the chat as we go through the conversation. And what you'll do is you'll get to see me in my presentation, and you also hear the audio from the other side as well, because you need to hear both parts of the conversation. And this is an example of how things work with us in the school. So if you're ready, I think what I'll do is fade myself out if I can. I believe I do it like this. There we go. Get rid of my ugly face. And we'll get on with playing the session. Or a section of the session. You won't get it all. Because there's some parts that are just too crazy. Here we go. Simulated things. You know, you have to wonder if the artificial can be as good as the real, because can a genetically modified, I don't know, tomato or apple be as good as a naturally produced tomato or apple? Can the genetically modified be better? Well, the problem with that is you can make a genetically modified apple and say it's better, but the point is you're playing with the DNA, you're playing with the fundamental code of the food, and you don't know what the next generation or generations are going to be like, because that's going to be a variation on the genetic code. It won't be exactly the same. And so that's basically a mutation. And you don't know how it's going to mutate. You don't know if the changes are going to stay the same, or if nature's going to fight back against the artificial modification. And if there's going to be some kind of conflict between what science is doing and what nature is doing, because science is trying to manipulate nature, which is a little bit crazy because science still doesn't understand nature. So you can say, okay, look what we've produced, this is great. Okay, so the apple tree this year is fine, but what about the apple tree next year? What about the apple tree in 5 years? What if nature rejects the changes and you have no apple trees?
Yeah.
Because it's sort of like saying, well, okay, we know exactly what everything that's going to be and everything that's going to happen. That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy because you
No one
don't.
knows.
Yeah. Exactly. No one knows exactly what is going to be and exactly what is going to happen, and so it is. It is really crazy, I think, and we have to be very careful with science saying, you know, it's crazy science now with like, oh, you can choose the color of your baby's eyes, and okay, so you choose the color of your baby's eyes, then how do you know that when your baby grows up and becomes an adult and has children, that their children are not going to be blind because nature is going to fight back against this artificial process, because there's this random element built. Science is trying to synchronize and codify everything, and say that everything can be manipulated and we know what is going to happen, but there's a random element in nature. And science is trying to get around this problem of the random element in nature. Say you have a group of zebras and a group of lions. You know the lions are going to attack the zebras, but you don't know which lion is going to eat which zebra, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a random element there. So
Yeah,
you can play with the genetics all that you want, but how are you going to control the randomness of things? Which is
it's very serious.
yeah, it is, because what scientists are saying is we want to control everything, and what nature is saying is, well, the only reason that you want to do that is so that you know exactly what's going to happen. But what makes life is unpredictability.
Yeah,
Not
it's
quite.
not easy. Yeah.
Yeah, not quite knowing. You might be a great mathematician, but you might have children, and maybe one of them will be a great sports person or something. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you just don't know about certain elements. And we mentioned the football game that happened last week, where everyone thought that it was impossible for one team to win, and they achieved the impossible because they wanted it more.
Mm-hmm.
Basically.
Okay.
And that comes into something else which I wanted to talk about with all my students this week, which is now the game was was it Barcelona Paris Saint-Germain, was it? Was
The
that the
Real,
game?
no,
Or was it Real Madrid?
that's no Real Madrid, I think.
It was a
Paris.
friend. It was Paris Saint-Germain, no
Yeah,
PSG.
yeah.
Paris Saint-Germain and
And
Barcelona.
Barcelona, and
Barcelona,
Barcelona.
right? Let's get it
Mm-hmm.
right now. Lots of reasons why Barcelona won in the end, including the fact there's a lot of money invested in the team. They're very talented. They got the coaches and the managers and everyone to plan, everyone to organize everything. But there's a key element to success that was very visible in the highlights of the game, which I didn't watch the game because I'm not interested in the game, but one of my students came and said, "Oh my gosh, best football match in history! Oh, it's incredible! You have to go online and watch it." Okay, okay, best game in history. Okay, okay, I guess I have to watch it if it was the best game in history. And what I saw was flow. And maybe you've experienced this through the sport that you do with basketball. It's sometimes things flow. It's almost natural. Well, it is natural and almost effortless. When things work, they work.
Automatically.
They synchronize. Everything comes together. The team comes together, and things flow. They, like a river, they have a natural direction and a natural progression, and there's almost no stopping it.
Yeah. We have a mental practices sometimes in my team, and one meeting the guy, the trainer or coach, told us exactly about this. When sometimes it goes automatically, and what you did, you also, for example, when you shoot, you always scored. You get always see your classmates, teammates, and you are like connected each other, and everything works suddenly and automatically. You don't have to think, just it goes automatically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's flow. Now, one of the things that affects flow is actually what you do when you're not playing the game, which is you're training and practicing and preparing. Yeah,
Mhm.
the people win by doing what they do when you don't see them. It's the training that Andy Murray does when he's not playing on court that makes him the best player in the world, right? Um, so it's the training that Stephen Curry does when he's not on the court that makes
Yeah,
him
yeah, yeah.
one of the best three-point shooters in history. So, uh, there's the training which is important, but in the actual game, there's something called flow, which everyone connects and everything moves in one direction, and this flow is unstoppable. It's
Mm-hmm.
unstoppable. It's something also that Bruce Lee talked about. Do you know the name Bruce Lee? Bruce Lee was a famous martial artist. I
I
think
think, yeah, yeah.
in the 1970s. I think he made a number of films, but he was not really famous for the films. He was famous for his skills doing something like did judo, karate, taekwondo. But he
Mm-hmm.
had his own special system. And what he was doing was he was creating flow. So every movement that the human body makes, it must flow naturally. It must be completely natural. And
Mm-hmm.
he said that it was possible to do this in the context of conflict and fighting, to be in the conflict, to be in the fight, and yet to flow. And when you flow, you're unstoppable, because everything is working in balance and everything is working in harmony. And he had this system where when someone attacked him, he would make a move. I don't know what kind of move he'd make. Some kind of move to block the attack. But the blocks were actually themselves attacking moves.
Mm-hmm.
So previously you had a lot of martial arts where there were defensive moves and offensive moves. There were defensive moves and attacking moves, but Bruce Lee created one movement so that every defensive move was automatically an attack. And this was very, very hard to defend against because there was no difference between attack mode and defend mode. There
Mm-hmm.
was no difference between the two. He created this flow between the two ideas. And going back to the football match, that's what I saw. I saw the flow, that everything that the team did was orientated towards one element. They were going to score, and that was it. And there was no other opportunity. Of course, occasionally from time to time it didn't work, but it didn't stop them. You know, like there's a stone in the river, there's a rock in the river, but it doesn't stop the river, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So they would naturally flow around these problems and keep going towards their goal. It was a perfect example of flow. And we've
Mm-hmm.
all experienced it from time to time, whether it's in relationships with people, or whether it's in sports events, or just something else in life where everything clicks together and just seems to work. So this flow element is often forgotten about because I'm not sure that you can teach it, because it's actually lots of different things that you can't control coming together.
Mm-hmm.
Like all your teammates just being connected. You can only control what you do. You can't really control all the
Oh, yeah.
connections your teammates are going to make. But from time to time, we enter this flow, and it's a really nice thing to experience. And I think it's also something that we should be looking for in our
Mm-hmm.
lives. We should be looking for flow and balance, and not feel that that there's something stopping us. You know, I think about a chainsaw. There's that cuts through wood.
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right. Basically in life, you want to be the perfect chainsaw, right? And
Of course.
life is the piece of wood, and you just want to be like, you just want to be cutting through that wood and getting on with your life and doing your thing. You don't want to be like sort of stopping and having problems. So
Yeah.
we're always, I think, looking for that that flow, and it doesn't always happen quickly. I use the idea of the river because we all understand that. But even things in nature like a tree. Look at the way the tree grows. The tree has incredible flow, absolutely natural, but very slow, right? It doesn't. It's like the river you can see, it comes and goes. But the tree has this very slow element of flow where nothing really stops it. You see the trees that grow round things and up cliffs and through houses and nothing really stops it basically. And so I think it's quite a key point to try
Hmm.
to find that in our lives. Um, anyway, back to the singularity. Your turn. I mean, your turn. That means your turn. Absolutely, absolutely. So there you had it. That was a real uh, clip from one of our sessions this week, run through the Academy of Language Therapy and Life Coaching. And there I talked about the contradictions that exist within scientific practice and why flow is important. And you can hear the client as well feeding in their information, their experience, and resonating with the idea that the flow is a vital part of success, I think, and something that we don't focus on. And definitely in traditional schools, we don't focus on that. So, um, thank you to my man on the other side who helped with that. So, um, just to recap and review the conversation that was just had, the question is, the first question raised was, uh, can modified through genetics actually be better? And there is the fear about the future. We can control the present, but what about the future? How will future generations be affected? Will there be uncontrolled future mutations in genetics? Can you control the randomness of nature? Well, that's sort of a self-explanatory, um, almost rhetorical question there. We then went on to look at how choices and flow affect us within sports. Sports is a great example for this. So we talked about football, the Barcelona match last week. We talked about basketball. We mentioned Stephen Curry. And we also talked about Bruce Lee and martial arts and how flow affects people's choices there. And you can go and find a lot of great documentaries online which explain this much better than I can. So what's the point? Control what you can control. That's the point. I also said you want to be the perfect chainsaw. You want to be able to have the kind of actions that build up momentum so that they become unstoppable. Um, and I also said at the end they should be like a tree. Um, and I explained the reasons why that is important. You've seen those old pictures of those pictures of old trees where the tree is growing up and through buildings. That's kind of what we have to do in life, is develop a little bit like that. Right. Um, it's a bit freaky seeing me on the other side over there. So I'll see if I can get rid of myself. Apparently not. Oh, apparently yes. Okay, there we go. This morning is all about coaching. Coaching. Ideas. Exploring the mind, exploring possibility. ability. Now, previously this week, we looked back at some audio. So I want to continue with the audio series. We looked back at the first series of coaching audio that was recorded around about this time last year. I had over 100 sessions with clients, and we recorded our experiences, and I recorded my explanations of why the experiences are the way they are, why the feelings are the way they are. Remember, this is just one perspective. There are many perspectives. If you have an opinion, guess what you can do? Write it in the chat. There you go. So we earlier this week looked at some odd subjects, hairdressers and their lies. We looked at what happens when we don't have coffee. We looked at the psychological aspects of two television serials or series. One was Once Upon a Time, and the other was Glee. And today we're going to go back and look at what I entitled positive influences. Now, I think that this is about affect and effect. Affect and effect. So I'm going to play a little bit of an audio for you. It's not very visual. I apologize for that. I'm going to hang around in the background, write down any important notes in the chat, and if you have any questions, then feel free to approach me, and we can go into it a little bit further. So, as usual, I will technology. I will blur myself and fade myself down and bring to you our positive influences chat. Feel free to make a comment in the chat forum as well, if you like. Enough said, let's get on with it. This is about 8 minutes long. So, and I might stop it in the middle and make any relevant points a little bit clearer, or I might just let it go. We'll find out. We'll see. And the most lost people are people who don't even know that they're lost. I mean, when you know that you're lost, you at least understand where you are. But a lot of people don't even know that they're lost. They've got this complete disconnect from reality. And it only takes a very short conversation with anyone to understand if their feet are on the ground, if they are grounded in reality, or they're living in it's almost some kind of fantasy virtual universe, which is not even a real place. And it's not always a bad thing if you can channel it into something constructive. Like if you're a fantasy writer or science fiction writer, you need to get lost sometimes in order to have that element of creativity. But everything needs to be organized in a constructive way. And I was thinking about how society, I think, in the Western world has recently, over the last 5 or 10 years, transcended or crossed into a new phase of development. This is for intellectual people, not for the average person, but for the intellectual people who have realized a lot of things, like the madness of politics and political parties. Like before, people would join political parties to have influence. Now people set up Facebook groups. There's been a paradigm change. And people like Tony Robbins
Mhm.
and their motivational techniques have been far more beneficial for the world than things like politics, which is just a form of divide and separate and conquer people, basically, and control people. Whereas these motivational speakers have been
Mhm.
uh, encouraging people to connect, well, first with themselves and then with other people as a result, and to break down barriers and borders. And I think that if more people go in that direction, the future will be very positive. And I was looking at the American political campaign right now, and I was thinking about just the complete bullshit and lies presented every day by media, and how it just seems to be acceptable in that area of the world to present bullshit and lies and manipulation and mistruth and half-truth and all of these things, which are symbols of a sick society.
Mhm.
You know, the fact that you can get up every morning and go to work and tell lies to everybody and be happy about it is, which is what the media does most of the time. Or tell things that they don't know if it's true or if it's not true, which is just as bad. Yeah, this is a very sick society. There are a lot of people who need a lot of help, and people like Tony Robbins are trying to help. They're trying to to cure society of
Mhm.
this disease that we have, this living in belief rather than living in understanding, and how powerfully important it is. And it could be that it's so important that
Mhm.
the difference between us having nuclear war and living a peaceful existence in the future could be things like what Tony Robbins says. Because Tony Robbins has worked with leading political minds and leading business people, and um, I think has helped a lot of them find some peace within themselves, which where otherwise they would be angry people and doing bad things or wrong things. And I think this is extremely
Mhm.
important and will become more and more important in the future as state education dies because it can't change and technology increases the speed at which people connect with each other. So I I hope that that will have a positive influence on on the world around about, and and I think it is having a positive influence at the moment. Like we are seeing uh, the alternative media
Mhm.
grow into something which is better than the state-run media. We are seeing television be replaced with independent people creating their own YouTube videos. Um, we are seeing humanity being creative and using that in a positive way. Um, all of these things growing and developing. So I think it's all a very positive way to look at a world which is very often negative. And from my own experience, I sometimes have a negative frame through which I look at the world, and I am trying more and more to look at the world through a positive framework, not to see the problems, but to see the opportunities that exist, and not to create problems, but to create opportunities as well. Just easier said than done, for me at least. Maybe for other people it's not like that, but for me it's like that. Um, so I would recommend the documentary. Um, I Am Not Your Guru by Tony Robbins as an interesting look into that world. And I have watched a lot of interviews with Tony Robbins recently, and he always says the same thing in each interview, which makes perfect sense. I don't want it to make sense, but it makes sense, which is you can only take steps forward in life by giving to people. And that's it. That's the whole principle. You can always take steps forward by giving. Nothing else has value. Watch it. Nothing else has value. Nice way to finish that. Nothing else has value. The way forward is in giving. So that was the positive influences talk. And if you have a thought, if you have some information on that, more information, if you have something you'd like to share with me, your opinion perhaps, then let me know. You can also inform me when things are not quite going to plan with the audio or video on the screen. There we go. I'm back in focus. Focus on your focus. Absolutely. So, to review the concepts of positive influences, and we can skip back through the chat and have a look at the notes. Secrets and keys to life. Make notes as you go along, because you're not going to remember everything. Make notes as you go along. Doesn't matter if it's a handwritten note. Doesn't matter if it's written on your hand. Doesn't matter if it's a digital note. You're using Evernote or you're taking a picture or whatever. Make notes as you go along, because you're going to forget stuff. So this is why I wrote some things in the chat. Practice what you preach. There you go. So the most lost people, here are the chat notes, the most lost people are those who do not know that they are lost. Because you can never find that which is unknowingly lost, essentially. Well, you can argue against that, but it's a philosophical point. You have to think about it. Yeah, if you don't know you're being fooled, you'll never not be a fool in that situation. So that's the first point. Channel your fantasy for creativity. Fantasy is great, but channel it in a creative mode, in a creative frame. Use it in a positive way. I can see a spelling mistake. See, nobody corrects any of my spelling mistakes. I'm just correcting the spelling mistake right now, and then maybe nobody will notice in the chat. There we go. Oh my gosh. Oh, there's a few little problems there. Got to check some information. Bear with me. I thought it was like that. Okay, super sweet. So I was just correcting the divide statement. Politics has become divide and conquer and control. That's basically the way it is. I don't think anyone can disagree with that. I always have a problem with people who think they know what's right for everybody. How can you possibly know? How can you possibly know what's right for a person when you don't know the person? So that's I got a chip on my shoulder from a political perspective about that. Your level of lies is a symbol of a sick society. Yeah, the level of mistruth and disinformation is the level of how ill or sick society is, and how much more it needs to be orientated in a spiritual way, I think. Um, and then I ask, can one man change the world? Can one person change the world? Well, maybe you can't change the whole world, but you can change your world. You can make a difference. You help one person as one person helped. And as Gary Vaynerchuk says, one is better than none. I like his phrase. One is better than none. To help one person is better than to help nobody. So keep that keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. It's the little things that make big differences. I find myself saying that every single day. It's the little things that make big differences. So um, moving on, we looked at Tony Robbins. He has a video, I Am Not Your Guru. It's fantastic. I recommend it to everybody. It's very motivational. It's very positive. It's very powerful, and it's very emotional as well. It's very, very hard not to be affected inside yourself as you watch the documentary. And finally, you can still have a positive view of a negative world or even in a negative world. It's your choice. It's your choice how you frame the environment around about you. It's your choice if you choose a positive frame or a negative frame. It's your choice how you approach the problem. It's your choice whether you see a problem as a problem or a problem as an opportunity. And change is difficult. So if you find that something is a problem, try approaching it as an opportunity, and then change will be a natural part of the process. That's at least how I see it. Again, feel free to agree or disagree with me. You can write that in the chat. So we've been through quite a lot today already, and I think I've given you a lot of information to think about regarding basic psychology, philosophy, approaches to life. In fact, I challenge you to write down all the points that I've made in the last 45 minutes, and I challenge you to, you'll come up with 30 or 40 different things. Do any one of them, and you can change your day, your world, your life right now. I always say little things make big differences. The seconds build the minutes, build the hours, build the days, build the weeks, build the months, build the years. How you fill your time becomes how you live your life. How you make your choices becomes how you live your life. And the powerful note is that these are your choices. Your life, your choice, no excuse. And I think that's going to be the message for today. Your life, your choice, no excuse. Don't want to hear any excuses. None. So, this was a presentation by the Academy of Language Therapy and Life Coaching. We are a small private school who run online courses. We're based in Slovakia, but our reach is all over the world. If you're interested in what we do, you can visit our home site. You can see it above my head on the video here. It's nsa-slovakia.com, language and personal coaching. We have over 700 videos on YouTube. They're free for you. You can go there, check them out. It's videos and audio, a lot of different things, a lot of great experiments, and a lot of advice about how to take the next step for progression in your life. If you're interested in booking a coaching session, we can have a free consultation. Just get in touch with me, and we will work on it together. Together, as always, together we can do more. So I hope I gave you something to think about. If you liked the video, if you found something useful, please share it with other people. We've had over 1,000. This has been the most successful week ever for the videos produced by the school. We've had over 1,000 views on the videos this week, and it's absolutely fantastic. You can, if it's on Facebook, you're watching this on Facebook, you can right click, you can copy the URL and paste it somewhere where people can find it. If you find this mirrored onto YouTube, you can copy and paste it, send it to somebody else. You can check out our previous videos. They're archived on Facebook and YouTube. And and you know how it goes. It's a little bit of promo thing at the end. It's like puts people to sleep, but you have to do it, right? You have to do it because the stuff is going out for free. In fact, the stuff is going out for free because people actually take courses. The people who take the courses and do the personal development sessions, they're paying for all of this technology and all this information to go out to everyone else for free. So I'd like to thank them for their investment in the school. Um, I'd like to thank you for paying attention today. And I got a client coming in a few minutes, so I got to prepare some notes and some work for them. If I have time, I'll be back online again today later. If not, I'll see you still very, very, very soon. We're running these sessions every day, Monday to Friday. Link up to me, Graham W. Hendrey on Facebook, and I'll be happy to interact with you. Thank you very much. Now we have to play out with a little bit of rock and roll to keep us driven, motivated, and energized. The Jimmy Hoffa Band, the Draconian Spirit. Let's do it. Feel the energy.